Hi guys, today I want to talk about 10 tips that you should be aware of when wanting to pass your real estate exam. Now I'm taking these tips from our website, so I provided the link in the show notes below. So when I created this document, it's meant for everybody to be able to see and share, so please share with anybody you know who's taking this real estate exam, a little bit stressed about studying. So let me go over 10 tips. Some of these tips are in preparation for the exam, some are for during the exam. So let's get right into it. So the first is, do as many practice exam questions as you can. Now, obviously this follows my rule of knowing your vocabulary. Know your vocabulary first, but after you've memorized your vocabulary, I often say 5 words every morning, then do the questions, as many questions as you can. Not all at once, do them in little sections. So memorize a concept, I don't say memorize, learn a concept, then move on to the next one. But you got to do those questions. Practice makes perfect, but only after you've understood your vocabulary. And of course, supplement that with the webinars and any other study materials that we have that you think is really helpful. Next, when you're doing the exam, start by answering the questions that are very easy. So, do the practice exams preparation, but now you're sitting for your exam. Do the questions that are easy. Now you can do this by skimming through, and I often talk about the technique in another video about making 4 columns. You make 4 columns, questions that are easy, questions that are hard, questions that are super hard, and questions that might as well be in Greek. You have no idea what they are. So you organize the questions because you want to spend the most time with the questions you have the most chance of getting correct. And if you don't get around to that last column, well, wasn't it going to be a guess anyway? So you want to try and organize everything so you're doing the questions you're most likely to get correct first. Start with the easy questions. And that may take a little bit to go through the exam and just kind of organize everything, but I think you'll find it helpful. Look at the answers first. So here's my next tip. Number 3, look at the answers first. This worked well for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but I found it really helpful. So maybe it will for you too. Look at the answers first, gives you an idea of what to look for in the question. Otherwise, you're reading, this is what I found, you read the questions, you look at the answers, and you're like, what'd they say? And you got to go through the question again. So might as well cut to the chase, quickly skim through the answers, and then when you read the question, you know what they're looking for. Number 4, when you're taking the exam, do not choose an answer you have never heard of. Can't say this enough. You've been studying, you've put in the work, you've put in the time. So if there's something you've never heard of, that means you weren't supposed to know it, therefore it's not an answer. Because everything you were supposed to know, you study. You may not know everything perfectly, but let's give yourself the benefit of the doubt that you would have at least heard of all this stuff. So if it's some answer you never heard of, then do not circle it. Work backwards to the correct answer. Eliminate obvious wrong answers and work backwards to the correct answer. You may be able to eliminate only 1 or 2 of the options. Even so, you raise your odds of getting the correct answer to 25% to 50 to 75%. That's a big improvement. So make a note of that. Number 6, this kind of alludes to what I said about doing the questions that are really easy. Number 6 is skip questions you don't know the answer to. Remember I said put it in that last column? So skip those. If you have time at the end, try it. But you don't want to spend a lot of time on questions that are extremely difficult because remember, they're worth the same amount as the easy questions. So you shouldn't be spending some incredible amount of time on questions that, honestly, you're probably not going to get right anyway, or it's just going to be a guess. So skip those, save them to the end, put them in that last column that I referenced earlier. Number 7. Once you've answered the test question, don't change your answer. Oh, this is a good one. Your first impulse is usually correct. Think about when you wake up in the morning. You wake up, you put on some clothes, you put on the shirt you like, and then your ride hasn't arrived yet. You wait 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What do you do in that time? You change your shirt. So you have time to think about it. You start dwelling on it. You have nothing to do. Like, I think I'll change my shirt. Then when you're in the car, what happens? You wish you kept that original shirt on because your first impulse is usually correct. This is why superstar athletes are so clutch. They don't think about it. They just go. Their first impulse is usually correct. When they talk about people being clutch, they're talking about people who don't overthink anything and don't doubt themselves. So don't doubt yourself. Go with your first impulse unless you find a real reason to correct that answer, then keep it. Keep that first impulse because it's usually correct. Number 8. I can't believe I have to say this, but I do. Don't be afraid to select the same answer letter several times in a row. I can't believe it, and it happens. And be honest, it happened to me too. I can't believe it happened to me. You go C, 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 and you're like, I think there's too many C's there. That looks weird. Maybe I should have a B or an A to mix it up. This isn't art. You don't need to have a nice equilibrium of different letters. But a lot of you guys will look at it, see, man, I circled a lot of C's. Maybe there's a lot of A's. Maybe I need a few B's and D's in there. No, you don't. You don't need those. So don't try and balance your score sheet with the right amount of letters. So don't sweat it. I know it sounds weird, but you're in exam, you're going to go through this, you'll see a lot of the same letter, and you'll start to doubt yourself. That is not a reason to doubt yourself. Okay, number 9. Don't keep score as you progress through the real estate exam. I know you want to know how you're doing, but honestly, it's not benefiting you. Just do your best with each question, organize everything correctly, and there you go. Some people have this impulse to kind of know how they're doing as they're going through the exam, and that's fine, but it's taking away from your ability to just focus on the matter at hand. I know you kind of want to know, am I passing, am I not? How am I doing? I understand that, and if we could provide that to you on the fly, that'd be great, but don't let that concern focus away from answering the questions correctly while you're doing the exam. And last but not least, don't compete with other applicants. You'll see people get up early, stay late. They'll celebrate. Woo! They'll look depressed. They'll look anxious. They'll look happy. Don't look around. Focus on what you're doing. If you could get a private room, that'd be great, but unfortunately, it's not a possibility for most of you. It is a possibility in some special circumstances, but generally speaking, you're going to be seeing other people, and you're going to see them go through ups and downs and frustrations and concerns, or just a deadlock focus. Well, you'll never know what they're thinking, and nor should you. Mind your own business. Focus on your exam, focus on what you need to do, and you'll be fine. So those are my 10 tips. You can find them in the link in the show notes below. I hope that was helpful. Bye.